You know, when people say we're doomed, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. So here you have a teacher. Yes, a teacher. Don't worry, this isn't another BBL video, I hope. I'll be honest, I don't know. But I paused this right here so we can read the caption. It says, carrying the weight of being that one teacher in school with main character energy. So this video was going viral. I thought to myself, why not address this? Just because when I think back to school, I can't remember being able to access a teacher's social media platform and seeing her post videos and pictures where it very obviously looks like she's trying to show off her cheeks. Let's just be honest. That's what this is, right? And a part of me was wondering, is this some type of maybe troll? Is this woman an actual teacher? And then I see somebody else address it. All right, so here's the thing. To my guy here in the video, unfortunately, I wasn't able to use your video because of the copyright music that was in it. Regardless, we're going to get Miss Coffee to get the point across that this guy was making in response to her video. We're very thankful for our AI assistant barista, Miss Coffee. Miss Coffee, can you summarize my guy's think piece here and let us know what he's talking about, please?
So my guy is basically saying, you brought all this chaos on yourself. Why? Because instead of just posting a little cute selfie like everybody else, you decided to go full and main character energy in a public school bathroom, talking about and carrying the weight of being that one teacher. Sis, what weight? Who gave you that crown? Was it the principal, the janitor, Miss Edna, who been teaching language arts since the 70 seconds? It better not be the kids. Because if the kids are the ones you're trying to impress, that's where the line gets real blurry and real inappropriate. He's also calling out how a lot of people now, especially in education, love to drag their workplace into their online content. And let's be honest, most jobs don't want to be featured in your thirst traps. They want to be a secret, a sneaky link. Nobody asked to see the inside of a public school bathroom while you're arching your back for the gram. And now, you got parents mad, a digital PTA forming in the comments, and probably a school board side-eyeing your profile. All this drama. And it could have been avoided if you just left the caption out. Post the pic, crop the vibe, leave the district out of it. Lesson of the day, your job ain't your aesthetic. And middle schoolers don't need their math teacher going viral for booty angles in between bell rings. Damn. Class dismissed.
Damn. Class dismissed is right. Thank you, Miss Coffee, for that detailed explanation. Are they arguing with her in the comments? Hold on, let's see. Top comment here says, all I'm going to say is when I worked in high school, there was a 21-year-old teacher obsessed with being cool and liked and always dressed provocative. She was genuinely flattered that little boys liked her. Yeesh. If this is the top comment on your video post, then it would be very obvious to me that maybe you should take this down. And like, here's the thing, right? I know for a fact that there are men out here who just never grow up. There are women out here who just never grow up, right? There are people who are going to look at this and they're going to think, I don't care. Everyone should be able to dress around and walk naked no matter where, right? They're just people who never grow up. But can we at least have one person be a good example, right? Can the teachers at least be able to understand that this is inappropriate? You know, there's also another video I did of this math teacher lady who also went viral for sort of the same thing. And I think teachers should be able to dress inappropriately. And it sounds like these are younger students, right? Which is even crazier, especially with all the stuff we see happening nowadays, you know, which is not even funny at all. We're not jumping to that here because, you know, I don't want to push those allegations in any which way. That's not what I'm trying to allude to here. I just think even if she was just dressing up because she thought she looked good and it was fun, there's still something inappropriate about that to a degree, right? Somebody else who says we're doomed. Here's somebody else who says focusing on the wrong thing. Make sure them babies learn something. Yeah. Here's someone else who says someone check her phone. Here's someone else who says yikes. Who are you advertising for? The kids? Yeah, this is strange. This is weird. Here's someone else who says it's grown men in the comments telling you to focus on the kids. That should tell you something. Yeah. My guy here says you're a supporting character. The kids are the main character. I'm actually pretty impressed with the maturity in the comment section. I can't promise my comments are going to be that mature. I'm disappointed I don't take them that seriously at the end of the day, but there's always somebody over there who just can't help it, right? They're too thirsty and cannot control themselves no matter what. Here is another video I saw, and this one was also strange, right? This confirms that she teaches at a middle school, and it reads, "What I wore today as a middle school teacher." Like that come on, man. Come on. Like what are we doing? Think of the equivalent. What's the male equivalent of this, right? You guys saw the pose that she did there standing like that. If she wasn't a teacher and not trying to highlight the fact that she's a middle school teacher, then a lot of people look at this and be like, oh, you're just another woman online who loves male attention. The fact that this is just she feels comfortable putting middle school teacher and then posing like this, with her butt out. This is strange. This is strange behavior. And I know some of you guys may be thinking, let's read some of these comments. It's almost as if she wants to lose her job. Yeah. Right. Somebody else who says, teacher in the bathroom taking pics like the students. This is just crazy. I will say this. This might be a situation because the one thing I'm thinking now is, what if this isn't real at all and this is somehow like a ploy for her to build her OnlyFans, right? Like that's how bad this is. That just came to mind for me. Like maybe she does this because she knows people will be attracted to it and she actually has like an OnlyFans account and she's not actually, oh, there's the IG. That could be confirmed. Hold on. Let's see. All right, here we are. I think this chick is a real teacher. Here we have Miss H. Yeah, this looks like she's a real teacher. All right, here she is there. Now let's go back. It says, one of my hidden talents I get from my mama. What? Thought I was clean or something. Here she is. School bus confirmed. It's weird. It's weird. It's strange. Think of a man doing this, and I don't even want to say what's coming to mind, but the women would talk about the gray sweatpants. That's the equivalent of a dude being in a middle school, a man being in a middle school, wearing gray sweatpants and saying, how I show up to, class. And very obviously, very clear, showing that, right? I was voted best staff member. I don't know. Listen, I'm prepared, man. I'm prepared that there are people who are going to be like, well, I don't see what the problem is. There are people who just don't take life seriously out here. They don't understand how this leads to other things. Like, I don't think when guys say things like, where was she when I was in school? When they see situations where female teachers are messing with, and I'm not saying this is what this is. I don't want to get that out there, but it's inappropriate, and it's underneath that umbrella discussion of inappropriate things happening at school. I just want to say something to the guys who say, where was this when I was in school? Or they envy seeing boys who have been traumatized by some sick female teachers, and it happens. All I ever think is you have no idea in any situations where they're victims, what was going on, what they were made to do. It's crazy. Anyways, moving on.
So it's now been about 3 months since me and my ex split, and I'm realizing that I cannot afford my lifestyle. So much to the point where I actually miss that ugly cheater so much right now. Let that be the last time I decide to play detective or ask too many questions, because I can't do this.
All right, so that's it. That's the short video. And it stood out to me, and this is why. You look around and you see all the turmoil going on, and there's that little small voice in the back of my head that's like, winter is here, and a lot of these chicks out here are going to learn why this economy isn't meant for single income households. What am I talking about? Well, you hear a lot of chicks say things like, I don't see the point of being in a relationship with a man who can't pay all my bills. He has to pay every single last one of them. And then life gets real. Then you realize that, hey, people were made to work together. Most people who are couples are in situations where both of them are contributing to some degree. Now, I know that she got cheated on. I don't think people should cheat on each other. Do I think people can work things out? I think, yes, more people could probably consider working things out. Controversial opinion, I know. But that's not the focus of this video. What I want to focus on is she didn't realize how difficult it was for her to pay bills, take care of herself until what it sounded like the man who was taking care of her and her broke up, until that relationship was no longer. And I think over the next few years, next few months even, we're going to see the conversation of what women expect start to change. This is not me saying that you should go and capitalize on a woman who's just being an opportunist because she's in poverty. No, I'm just saying, boy, that coffee's strong, ain't it? Let's read a few comments. Top comment here says, sounds like he's saving money. W's in the chat for bro. This next comment here says, Post should read Parasite in search of a new host. And she responded back and says, I'm not searching for anything right now, but when I do date, I attract generous gentlemen, and that gets the broke boys all excited. Y'all hate to see it. Here's someone else who says, you must live in the hood. Here's someone else who added, he seems like the winner in this. Somebody else here added, the 50-50 isn't bad, right? With a laughing emoji. This one's an interesting comment. This comment here says, bro, how much do you hate women and how many years apart do you get laid to get to that point? The guy did her wrong and y'all still find a way. I don't think this is necessarily about that. I think what's happened right now is, overall, as a collective, a lot of chicks have been very straightforward about how they will not settle. They only want to, what does she say in her comment section? She says, I date generous men, right? She's one of those never go 50-50. And you guys know where I stand. I think most men are willing to pay the majority of bills. Most of these chicks don't even want to do like a 70-30 split. And they've been so vocal as a whole that whenever these conversations get brought up and these chicks have to face reality, it is not going to go unnoticed. That's just a fact.
Oh my goodness. I did not expect to wake up to so many comments on my last post. And while some of them are hilarious, I also didn't expect to attract so many freaking incels to my page. Like, what happened to the days when men used to just wake up and go to work? Why are you commenting on some girl's TikTok at 8 in the morning?
And so, same sentiment. What happened to the days when men would go off and die in war? What happened to the days when men would just go to work? Nah. Men are still having this conversation and it's not ending anytime soon, especially right now. Especially right now when times are hard and life is getting real. Let's see. We've got one more here from her.
And this one is also for all the incels on my last post. You could date other guys. Like, if you hate women that much, you can date men. That's an option. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, there you go. Right? She's got all the check boxes.
So I went on a date with this guy on Friday night, and it was only a second date, but I basically cut him off right after because he took longer than 12 hours to reply to me. A lot of my girlfriends think I'm being unreasonable, but if my ex could have a whole girlfriend and still find the time to text multiple women,
right,
I think this guy could find 5 seconds to give me a text back. I don't know.
And there you have it, right? This is the type of unhinged that people are dealing with right now. Cutting a man off because he took more than 12 hours to text you back. Could have worked a 12-hour shift. Who knows? It could have been anything. This is what you're dealing with. With all that being said, I'm not the type of person who says good women don't exist or good men don't exist, right? They're there on both sides, and they think that there's no such thing of either or. I just think you want to make sure, especially today more than ever and right now, that you are aware, that you have boundaries, that if you have someone good with you right now, right, and you're somebody who values a long-term relationship and that's your thing, then, you want to make sure that you either hold on to that if you have it. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. You either hold on to that because these streets are cold, they're brutal. Additionally, you want to be careful to make sure that you're not getting got by women who are out here looking to take advantage of you and your resources. And this is where I get labeled toxic, because men aren't supposed to have boundaries. They're just supposed to give away their resources freely, like clowns. We just recently covered another topic of the guy who got taken advantage of. A 30-plus-year-old woman looked at him when he was younger, right? 24. We're not going to call him a child or naive, really. Well, there was some naivete there to an extent, but still a grown man, made the dumb decision of agreeing to give her a baby. And he thought she would just sail off into the sunset. Instead, it ended up being a nightmare with multiple series. And is now a viral story. What do I mean? Protect yourself, protect your seed, exercise sexual discipline. Make sure if you find somebody, there's somebody who values and respects you. And in return, a healthy man will also show that same love and reciprocation to the right woman. But right now, while markets are crashing and times are challenging, make sure both eyes are open. Moving on.
Hello.
How's it going?
Today is April 4th.
Okay.
My 14th wedding anniversary.
Congrats.
It's about nearly 10:30 at night. And my husband hasn't spoken to me all day. All day. He's come home, hasn't said hello to me, hasn't said a word to me. He's ignored me. On our 14th wedding anniversary.
This video has like 1 million views. I'm listening to this. In no time, the only question that's coming to my mind is, what are we supposed to do about it? Like, really, did you think you posting this video made things worse or better? Because it looks like you want to stay with your husband. The type of energy that I'm hearing from this lady is that she wants things to work out, right? So why come online and tell everybody and cry to the internet and expect anything positive when we all know what happens when you post your relationship and you're too public with that online? I'm sure he didn't like this either, right? Let's keep listening.
And he's doing it because he came into some money. I didn't ask for any of it.
Right.
Except to not have to spend what little I have. And because I asked about it, this man has ignored me all day.
Don't you, man, women have a way with words, bro. I'm not taking his side immediately here. I'm just pointing out what I see based on how she said that was just genius. Oh, they have a way with words. She said, I didn't ask for any of it, except that I don't have to spend my own. Like, you catch that? Crazy.
All day. All day. It's our 14th wedding anniversary. I've been here at home all day. I called him even earlier today to let him know about the painters arriving. And even then, his response to me was, "What?" This is my life.
Awkward silence.
This is my life. This is what it's always been between us.
Oh.
For 14 years.
Can we hear his side?
Last year was a tumultuous year for us. And all I've asked since then is marriage counseling. And to this day, a year later, nothing. Which tells me I should leave. Clearly.
People must think I'm evil, bro. Here's the thing, man. After thousands of videos of just seeing how women just like put up a camera and record themselves and they can just cry at a drop of a hat, I want to hear his side. Like, no one ever thinks about what's being said because it's blanketed and comes presented in gift wrapped in emotion and tears. And, you know, you're trained to look at somebody and, you know, I look at her, I see some of the women in my life. This could be an aunt, right? But then there's only one problem. There's coffee in my system. There's coffee in my system. And once there's coffee in your system, you just don't see things with that vantage point. Now, I'm open to the fact that things have been terrible for the past 14 years. But if you really think about what that means, you're saying from the beginning to the end, it's been horrible? I don't believe that, because you wouldn't have married him. That's not a true statement. Obviously, at some point, things were good, right? At some point, things were good. Some point, things had to be good. This is what happens when like people get online, you know, and they're really emotional, is that they'll say things and it's hard to believe it because, you know, the reality is that most people start off in love. Most people start off wanting to be with somebody else forever. In most cases, it's always been horrible. It's always been bad. He's always been like this. That's an evil man. And it's kind of a phenomenon that you see people who come together, fall in love, get married, and then they look at their significant other like they're the devil, right? Disregarding the good times. A few of these hashtags here says, this is my life. Here's somebody else who says, surviving narcissism, blah, 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 blah. All right. So the next thing that came, and I know why they did this. I don't fall for this, but you know, the next thing they came was this, right? Somebody posted the same video,
14th wedding anniversary.
the same exact video with the photo of the couple, right? It says Zaddy got paid and ditched the wench. I don't know. What does wench mean? It says Zaddy came up on some money and dumped his divester. Okay. So for those of you guys who don't know what a divester is, it's basically like black woman, in most cases, this is how I understand it, who dates outside of their race. In most cases, what I've seen is specifically white men, but I'm sure it could probably expand. Why am I guessing when I could talk to our assistant? Our barista. Miss Coffee, can you explain what a divester is, please? And I don't know if she is a divester or not, but I just want to make sure we get this definition straight.
A divester is typically a black woman, though not always, who has consciously chosen to be divest from black men romantically, socially, and sometimes even culturally. Now let me say this, the reasons behind it vary, but the core message is the same. They're opting out. They feel like they've invested time, love, and energy into black men, and the return on that investment? Emotionally bankrupt. So they say, son, I'm done, and they move on.
I maybe part of me is like, I don't think I should have done this, because I think this is somebody framing this as a divester relationship, just to be clear. I don't know. Maybe they have more context here, but maybe we'll check out some of her page. I haven't seen anything in that video. She didn't say anything. And there's no divester hashtags here, right? But I'm curious to hear the rest of this definition.
Usually toward non-black men, but also toward what they feel is a better lifestyle, peace, and self-preservation. You'll hear them say things like, I'm not building with a man anymore, and choosing luxury. Black men don't protect us. We're not your mules.
All right, so it's a movement of black women who don't date black men. You guys know I think all that stuff is dumb to me. You should go where you're wanted, appreciated. Whether you are a black woman, go date that white man if he shows you love and respect. Go date the Asian man. Go date the Hispanic man. If you're a black man, go where you're loved and appreciated. Yes, I know Dr. Umar won't like what I'm saying, but that's just where I stand. You know, as someone who myself has only dated black women and is currently married to a black woman, that's my preference. And I don't think people should be told what to do. But yeah, so this came out. But what I will say about this situation is this. This is the result of getting online and making your relationship problems public, right? When I say be very cautious and don't do that, unless if you're ready to deal with what comes with it, here it is, right? You have people finding your videos, reframing how they see things, because everybody is biased, even myself. We're all biased. Don't anybody tell you otherwise. You know, based on their own values and principles, everybody has a slight bias to how they view things. And do you really need that? Right? And then also I look at this photo, I'm like, hey, they're here smiling. Now that doesn't mean that everything's perfect, but at some point, looked like they liked each other, right? It was good at some point. Yeah, to me, it seems like coming online and opening up about your relationship, while it may get women to sympathize with you overall, it just seems like it's bad overall. Top comment here says, it's okay to leave. He's gone already. Nope. So there you guys go, right? They're encouraging divorce. What they do best online. Somebody else here says, stop loving somebody more than you love yourself. A narcissist's favorite weapon of choice, silent treatment and stonewalling. Somebody else who says, ignoring your spouse is a form of mental abuse. Praying for you. Here's somebody else who says, I wouldn't see number 15 with him. And somebody else who says, you look drained and tired, mommy. Don't let it get to 15 years. You are enough. You are worthy. Outside of him, it's okay to leave. It's time to leave. You gonna be okay by yourself. Not always the case. I hope she will be, though. But it's just not always the case. This was her next post here. It says, today I accepted some great advice to get pretty and took myself on a dinner date with myself. So now she's taking dating advice from women, single women on TikTok. Yeah. Wish her the best, man. But top 5 worst possible moves is to go online and ask for a consensus of direction from people on TikTok. My own personal opinion. Curious to know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Moving on.
We did not go to college because we was too busy trying to figure out how to pay for lunch. Shut the up, worried about why we didn't go to college.
That would be a really good point if y'all sisters that lived in the same households as y'all and had the same mother and father as y'all didn't go to college. Like, those sisters that lived under those same circumstances still found a way to go to college. The issue is that y'all never intended on going to college. Y'all didn't want to go to college. Y'all were acting up in schools, acting up in the classroom, fully focusing on sports and athletics. You did not.
Okay, let's cut the shit. And I didn't say this in my last video, but we're going to be very frank about this whole college and black men situation. And I still stand by the fact, because this is a conversation that's had even outside the black community, right? I still stand by the fact that based on the numbers, women now attend college more than men, and it's not just an issue within the black community. Now, minorities often get hit harder when it comes to negative statistics. With that being said, here's the elephant in the room that's not being addressed. Yes, she's absolutely right. When it comes to things like behavioral problems, when it comes to young black boys and what we see with our own eyes is observable reality, a lot of them are in situations where their daughters will integrate into society a whole lot better than young black boys. But we're missing the reason why this is a problem overall. And we're ignoring the fact that like 70 to 80% of children in the Black community, if we're going to have that conversation, are born to single mother households. And people do not understand that this has a stronger negative effect on young men. Yes, young men more than it does women. This has been documented on so many levels. Here we actually have a clinician who goes into detail. I'm going to actually play her video right now. I was going to play it later, but I'll play it right now, where she talks about how this affects children when they're babies. Check it out.
Fathers do this really important thing, which is they help the baby to learn to regulate certain emotions. So mothers help to regulate sadness, fear, distress. Fathers help to regulate excitement and aggression. So when fathers aren't in the house, when there are single mothers raising children without a father, often little boys develop behavioral problems, is what we're seeing, that they can't regulate their aggression because fathers help little boys in particular, but little girls too, to regulate aggression. So when fathers aren't around, you'll often see little boys who are more impulsive, who are more aggressive. So the answer is fathers and mothers are both critical to the development of children, which is a very controversial thing to say today.
Right.
Because if you're raised without one, you are missing a piece. But they're not the same. And they're not the same because our hormones dictate they're not the same. So fathers produce a hormone in great quantities called vasopressin.
Right.
Vasopressin is the protective aggressive hormone. And what does it do? It helps fathers to protect their family.
If you guys have been following me for a while, you know I've addressed vasopressin and how men bond with that chemical. Now, the main thing I want to focus in on here is I'm seeing a lot of videos of women who are sort of bragging about the position that they're in. They're saying things like, oh, I know a bunch of women who are excelling, who are doing well, but you don't understand. You're not thinking about the way this is going to play out. And I'm talking about for the families that don't have a male role model or they don't have a man who's caffeinated, right? And understand that young boys need strong masculine energy or a father figure. To the chicks who are gloating about how the young women within households outperform their brothers, you don't see what this means. The cycle here is actually pretty concerning, not just to those young men when they get older, but also to you, right? What happens? You get older, you look around, and you realize that you most likely, number one, prioritize your career and education, didn't really learn how to be a wife, but you want marriage. But you can't find a husband. Why? Because you've done two things. You've become the man who you otherwise would be attracted to, because those young men, because they don't have fathers, because of single mother households, because women hold the key to sex and should be more protective of that, while men also should be protective of their seeds. Yes, men as well. But overall, you decide, right? Don't act like most women out here who are having kids are getting taken advantage of. No. But when you get older, you can't find a man who you can respect as your husband. You cannot continue the lineage of your family. What happens? A lineage dies off. On a macro level, this is hurting not just young boys and the lack of fathers in homes. It's also hurting the women, not because they can't settle down with the men that they see, but because they don't realize it. The more educated, right, you become, you convince yourself that you need a man who's either at the same level of education or higher, because that's the thing you prioritize, right? That's that hypergamy kicking in. And you want a man who's earning more than you. And before you guys say, does that mean that there are a lack of suitable men for women? No, that's not what it means. Studies show that when it comes to especially college educated women, there was a study by Cornell that talked about how they want a man to out earn them, especially when they're successful, college educated, by like 30 to like 50% more. It wasn't enough that man was just financially stable. Then you have all these things that don't matter. You know, you want somebody with a degree, even though they're not using it, because you've put some sort of value on it. In the end, you lose too. And where does it start? It starts in the home. Do I see this getting better? I think it'll get better for the people who are intentional about their decisions going forward. And for the vast majority of them, they don't think that like a woman thinks. Women think they don't get to choose who sleeps with them. today. They're powerless all of a sudden when it comes to D, but somehow competent, powerful, so on and so forth. Now, there are women out here who understand this, get this. Those are the men who value creating a family. They're going to couple together. They're going to grow, and their future is going to be brighter. And their children's future statistically will be brighter, right? When it comes to children and college.
Education. So do not blame every other circumstance on why you did not go to college. You did not go to college because you did not want to go to college. You want to be a rapper or a basketball player. That's it. Seriously, think about it. How many of us know two siblings where the daughter is just like doing her thing? She's a lawyer, she's a doctor, she has a master's degree, she does something, and then you have the mediocre son who is in and out of jail, in prison. Like that's not unique to the Black community. Like, this is an ongoing thing. The women found a way, and the men, y'all accepted the excuses that whoever allowed you to accept.
Again, guys, there's a fundamental lack of understanding here of how important fathers are, especially to those young boys' life, more than they are to the young girls. That's why you see this.
And not to get too deep into it, but now that I think about it, I semi-blame the parents, because while the parents were hyper-vigilant about the daughters and, I don't want her to get pregnant, I need to know every single aspect of her life, blah, 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 because I can't have a whole daughter, that whole thing, y'all were super vigilant when it came to raising your girls, and then let the boys in the same household run amok, terrorize teachers, and y'all let them hyper-focus on sports and made excuses for why their grades could be down, which in the end it worked out for us girls, but then you wonder why you produce lackluster sons. I mean, it all makes sense. But at some point as an adult, you have to sit there and say, hey, like, I'm an adult. I can't keep harboring on, the circumstances of decades ago when I lived with my parents. Like, you just have to step up at some point and stop using the same excuses and just do what needs to be done, because the girls did what needed to be done. Why can't the guys do the same?
We did not go to.
Yeah. And let me be clear, man. I don't think that this should be an excuse. And I think for most caffeinated men, they're not sitting there using this as an excuse to not go forward and be productive. If you are, then that you will suffer the consequences of being a victim. That's not even a conversation I'm willing to have, right? You should get out there. You should look for other avenues. I don't think college isn't something that, to me, I think is a must for every person. I think if you know what you want out of it, then you can go ahead and pursue it. But I don't think it's for everybody. But I know that's a controversial statement. The bottom line is, in life as a man, you need skills, right? If you want to make money, you need skills. And there are skills that you can obtain that are outside of a college degree, if college is something that you do not see in your future. But you're going to have to work. You're going to have to focus. You're going to have to go through pain, sacrifice. You can't blame anybody. Sure, your past may have put you at a disadvantage. I get it. But no one cares. No one cares. No one's bringing you in. No one's taking care of you. This life does not care. The world isn't going to stop and sit down and listen to your problems. It doesn't matter how much you cry, beg, or whine. You have to get it. We understand that. In addition to all that, though, my main point here is, let's not forget the root of this problem. And let's not forget that this definitely affects the other conversation we see that a lot of these chicks have over and over again, specifically Black women, of where are the men? We can't find this. It's you are raising the men that you complain about overall. And to be clear, I do think there's two different conversations going on right now. On one hand, you have the conversation of Black men not attending college. And just because someone doesn't want to go to college or hasn't gone to college doesn't mean that they're some type of a crash out, right? And they associate the whole not attending college to that means that you are a crash out who doesn't care about your life and you didn't have a plan. There are plenty of men who looked at college and said, you know what? I think I'll go this way. This will give me the best return on my goals and what I want. this is the path that I want to choose. But when it comes to the conversation of Black men who don't take life seriously, don't grow, aren't responsible, and have challenges and issues integrating into society, I think that's a different conversation and stems back to what type of home did you give in? One of the main factors being, did you have a father? Right? It doesn't mean you're doomed, but it definitely puts you at a disadvantage.
I have 5 siblings, 5 Black brothers, and I am the only one to go and finish college out of all of them. Dad on drugs, in and out of jail. Mom on drugs, got taken away from them, placed in foster care until my aunt and uncle retrieved me. I had to stop playing sports in high school because my aunt tried to force me to watch my little brother. I said, that is not my child. I'm going to go get a job instead. When it came to college, I filled out my FAFSA. I did have to ask my aunt and uncle a couple questions, but I filled it out. I submitted it. My mom passed away a few weeks before I got to college. I did get Pell Grants because I used the income of my mom and dad of $0, but I also did have to get student loans on top of that. When I got to college, I decided to pick up track and cross country. Never ran it a day in my life, but I figured, hey, why not? Mind you, when you're running track and cross country, you're running throughout the entire school year. You don't get a break. I did not have a scholarship at first, which means that I did not have extra money, which means that I had a job. Not only was I a full-time student, I was also a full-time athlete, and while everybody else was dilly-dallying, I had to go to work. I also did not have a car my entire college era. My people did not pay for me to go to college, and that aunt who had me stop doing sports in high school, she also wanted me to drop out of college to watch my little brother. I don't know if Black men were trying to go to Ivy League schools or D1 schools, and I'm not telling you to go to college or not to go to college, but I will say I went from a JUCO to a D2 school, and the points that y'all are making are just excuses.
Okay. Good for you, ma'am. I mean, if you're getting what you want out of college, I think that's a good thing for anybody who's involved. But don't get it twisted. The reality is, for the men who weighed out the benefits of college or going a different direction, they weighed out the consequences of that debt, of which I'm glad I didn't take on. And there are many men out here who are also glad they did not take on. Yeah. Probably, last time I'll address this topic. I didn't say this last time. I thought it was pretty fitting and I missed it. Listen, guys, of course, curious to know what you think. Leave your comments down below. As always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.